Okay, let's dive into something really cool. We're going to a place so remote, so incredibly isolated, it's literally called Earth's loneliest spot. But here's the twist. Its total emptiness is exactly what makes it one of the most important places on the entire planet. Because it's a cosmic graveyard at the bottom of the sea. This is the story of Point Nemo. So let me ask you this. If you wanted to get as far away from other people, from land, as humanly possible, where would you actually go? You might think of a remote mountaintop or some deserted island. But no, it's a very specific, mathematically calculated spot right in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean.
And this is it, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. That's its official name, but everyone calls it Point Nemo. The name is just perfect. Nemo is Latin for no one, which is fitting, and it's also a nod to the famous Captain Nemo from the Jules Verne novels. You know, what's really wild is that it wasn't discovered by some explorer on a ship. It was found by an engineer in 1992, using a computer program to pinpoint the single spot on the globe furthest from any land.
Just to give you a sense of what far really means, look at this number. 2,688 kilometers. That is more than 1,600 miles. That's how far you'd have to travel, in any direction, just to see the nearest piece of land. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around that kind of isolation.
Okay, but here is the single most mind-blowing fact about Point Nemo for sure. If you are floating in a boat right there, the closest people to you would not be on land. They'd be the astronauts on the International Space Station orbiting about 400 kilometers straight up. Yeah, when the ISS flies overhead, your closest neighbors are literally in space.
Now, a place this remote, this mysterious, you just know it's going to have some secrets. And for years, Point Nemo was at the heart of a pretty spooky deep-sea mystery that sounded like it was ripped straight out of a horror novel. It was a sound called the bloop.
So back in 1997, scientists with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, detected this sound. It was this incredibly powerful, ultra-low frequency noise that came from the depths. And the weird part? It was louder than anything they had ever recorded. Way louder than even a blue whale. And for years, nobody had a clue what it was.
And this is where the story gets really fun, because the mystery got a whole lot creepier thanks to this chilling coincidence. It turns out, the source of the bloop was pinpointed to a location incredibly close to the coordinates of Aralea, the fictional sunken city that H.P. Lovecraft wrote about, where the giant monster Cthulhu is supposed to be sleeping. Spooky, right?
So was it some terrifying ancient sea creature waking up? Well, while that is an amazing story, science did eventually find the real culprit. The sound wasn't an animal at all, it was an ice quake. Basically, a massive iceberg breaking away from Antarctica, and the sound of that giant crack traveled for thousands of kilometers through the ocean.
Alright, so, no monsters. In fact, if you were thinking this super remote part of the ocean must be just teeming with all sorts of strange, exotic life, you'd actually be wrong. Let's talk about why Point Nemo is pretty much an underwater desert.
It all comes down to its location. See, Point Nemo sits right in the middle of a massive rotating ocean current called the South Pacific Gyre. You can think of this gyre like a giant whirlpool that basically acts as a wall, blocking nutrient-rich water from getting in. Plus, being so far from land means there's no organic runoff or dust blowing in. And the result is a simple chain reaction. No nutrients means no plankton, and no plankton means almost no fish. It's one of the least biologically active places in any ocean on Earth. And this is where the story takes its final, absolutely fascinating turn. This empty, lifeless, ultra-remote spot has become one of the most crucial places on the planet for our entire space program. This is humanity's official spacecraft graveyard.
The logic behind it is actually pretty simple. When a big satellite or a whole space station gets old and dies, you can't just leave it floating up there as space junk. It has to come down. And to make sure that tons of flaming metal don't land on a city or a forest or, a person, space agencies need the biggest, most empty target they can possibly find. And there is nowhere on this planet bigger or emptier than Point Nemo.
So here's how it all works. When a piece of space hardware is ready to be retired, engineers on the ground fire its engines one last time. But they're not trying to speed it up, they're slowing it down, pushing it into a controlled fall back toward Earth. They can calculate the trajectory so perfectly that whatever survives the fiery burnup in the atmosphere splashes down right here in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
And the seafloor here is like a museum of space history. Russia's legendary Mir space station is down there. That came down in 2001. There are over 100 Russian cargo ships, a bunch from the European Space Agency, and countless other satellites. And the biggest resident is still on its way. Sometime around 2031, the huge 450-ton International Space Station is scheduled to make its final plunge and join the others in this unique underwater graveyard.
So when you put this all together, Point Nemo is this incredible, strange paradox. It's kind of a final frontier, but one that's right here on our own planet.
I mean, think about it. It's a place on the map that has almost certainly never been visited by a single human being. A place defined by its pure, untouched isolation. And yet, at the same time, it's the designated final resting place for some of our most advanced technology. The only visitors it ever gets are the falling stars that we ourselves created.
So I guess I'll just leave you with this thought. Point Nemo is, at the same time, the most remote place on Earth and our designated cosmic trash can. What does it say about us as a species that the place furthest away from all of humanity is the one we've chosen to send our technological ghosts to rest? It's a pretty fascinating question, not just about our footprint on Earth, but our footprint beyond it.